Howdy, folks. It's Zach with Harder, Happier, Healthier. How you doing today? This is Dr. Sabrina Soltz, my wife.
Hey, everyone.
How are we today? Wanted to talk about a particular subject that seems to come up a lot for people, and that is skin issues. I know she gets a lot of patients in the office that either have skin issues or usually that's related to autoimmune. I mean, there's some sort of underlining gut issue or some dysfunction or something that's happening. So I know that you've had some patients that have gotten help from the carnivore diet. You want to talk a little bit about that in relation to skin issues, and what do you think?
Yeah. So skin issues can encompass a wide variety of things. I think that if we narrow it down just slightly, just for the sake of the conversation, we can probably have this a little more targeted. So one of the big things that people deal with is acne, eczema, basically the skin breaking out in ways that are not favorable. Okay, there's other skin issues that we can touch on in a minute, but anytime that you have the skin erupting in a way that is obviously not wanted, the biggest place that myself as a naturopathic doctor and most other naturopathic doctors will start, or at least want to look first, is actually the gut. We actually don't necessarily even look at your skin first. We start looking at what's happening at the level of the small and large intestine, and how are you absorbing your food, how are you absorbing nutrients.
It's like typical, when you have some sort of skin, like a rash, or like maybe you have like bumps here. You see a lot of guys at the gym that take steroids and have a lot of bumps and stuff on their back. Mm-hmm. I call it back knee. I make fun of them because it's obvious that they're cheating. But like typical doctor, they see a rash, they're like, oh, well, let's put some cream on it. Let's put some sort of like steroid cream on it. And it's like, okay, that's not treating the issue. Everything in our body's connected. So why would I go to a doctor who's just going to try to put cream on something that I'm probably doing to myself anyway?
Yeah, and if you are dealing with skin issues, especially the type of like lumpy bumpies that you can get on your arms, breakouts around the chin area, on the face, everywhere, and if you've ever been sold something or prescribed something that was strictly a topical, you know that it didn't actually cure anything, and that it likely got worse, or at least stayed the same. So where do we start? Well, we have to start with gut function, right? The inside of the gut is almost like a mirror to what's happening on the skin. If you have really clear, great skin, you can almost ascertain that there's also really great digestion happening.
Yep. That was one of my first side effects when I got it. When I started carnivore, good skin in my eyes. She even noticed it. She's like, oh, I could tell that your eyes are a little bit wider, a little bit like shinier, and that is,
yeah, they were definitely whiter and brighter. So when we're looking at somebody's skin, if we have somebody who is, say, getting a lot of breakouts, if there's a lot of discolorations, if they are getting like the eczema, the bumps on the arm, really, really dry patches, things like that, we 100% know that it is coming from the GI system or the gut somewhere. So what does this have to do with carnivore? Well, what you put through the tube affects the tube, right? The tube being your whole gastroenterology system. So anything from the mouth all the way through the esophagus, through the stomach, through the small intestine, the large intestine, all the way through the rectum into the anus, right? If it's going in the tube, it's affecting the tube, but what affects the tube also affects the you, okay? Because that's where we absorb everything, right? So everything that comes into our body has to break down, and then some of it gets absorbed.
Right, and then, so is it the plant toxins specifically that cause a lot of these issues to come up, especially in the gut? I mean, most plants contain some level of anti-nutrients, which are designed to stop you from absorbing stuff that you need. There's also some chemicals in plants that just disrupt digestion in general, so that you'll stop eating them. I mean, that makes sense. If I didn't want to be eaten and I poisoned the person that was eating me, they might stop eating me, right? That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly, yeah. So not only is there toxins in our food products that are actually causing detrimental harm to us, but then it's the ramification as to what actually happens to the gut after that harm occurs. So enter a phenomenon that we like to call leaky gut or intestinal permeability. Basically, your small intestine is only about one cell wall thick. It's a really big cell, mind you, but it is still one cell. Now, that cell is going to have responsibilities. One of the things being that it's actually going to be helping to release enzymes to help break down your food, and of course, move food along in the digestive system, etc., etc. When you have continued assaults on the digestive system, and these assaults can be food with pesticides in them, so glyphosate is a really big one. Repeated antibiotic use, even in your youth. So if you were a kid and you consistently had to go get antibiotics for ear infections, whatever it is, that could destroy your gut. Any amount of binge drinking that might have occurred maybe in your youth, that can destroy your gut as well.
So everyone.
And then of course, just all the other things that happen on a daily basis, like even stress, for example. You know that whenever you felt stress or anxiety, you kind of get that gut feeling.
Yep.
That could actually be hurting your gut. So these repeated assaults basically take that tight junction of those cells that are supposed to be, and it kind of opens them up. So now you've got these spaces in between where the cell wall isn't functioning properly, and it's actually allowing food particles that haven't fully broken down yet to make their way into circulation.
Well, let's just clarify too, when she says pesticides, we're not just talking about the pesticides that humans add to them, we're talking about the natural occurring pesticides, because I get a lot of questions like, oh, that's not true about my cabbage that's growing in my backyard. I didn't put any pesticides. Well, cabbage,
Makes
has
its own,
thousands.
because you're a pest to the cabbage.
Right, you're a pest. So when we say pesticide, we're talking about you. We're not necessarily talking about the things that we are trying to stop other animals from eating, or bugs or whatever, from eating the plants as well. So
this is that like illogical aside that, oh, if that chemical is bad for this living thing, and to think that we're somehow above that is, and anyway,
it's beyond me.
but so the intestine starts to get permeable. We have food particles that haven't fully broken down yet that will make their way through those holes and into circulation. Well, now we have the immune component happening, okay? Because your body's going to say, oh wow, there's a particle floating around our system that is not quite what it should be. It's not broken down into its very basic level, which is just a plain sugar or a plain amino acid or a plain fatty acid.
And a lot of those, so plants have amino acids in them. They have proteins, but those proteins may look or mimic proteins like animal proteins, but they're not. So a lot of them actually cause damage. There are certain amino acids in the plant kingdom that mimic real amino acids in the animal kingdom, and when they get into your body, especially if they get through your digestive tract and start floating around your body's like, hey, these aren't right, we don't want these, and it starts to attack them. Or there's some proteins that your body will use in place of animal-based proteins, or proteins that match your genetic, or what your genetic makeup is, which is from the animal kingdom. And it will try to use those plant proteins, and it'll make those things incorrectly. So you actually get damaged tissue because your body's trying to use inappropriate materials to build with.
Yep. So when some of these products are circulating throughout your system and your body's saying is identifying it, it's not looking like what it should look like in your body. In comes the immune system to try to clean things up. And this can look like a couple of things. Now, when you have an awry immune response, the body wants to try to get rid of it, okay? So your skin happens to be a really awesome organ of elimination. This is why we sweat. So picture this, your body's trying to clean house, it's trying to get rid of some sort of like protein structure that it doesn't want. Well, what's it gonna do? It's gonna actually turn up the immune response in your blood, which is your white blood cells. Now what happens? Now maybe you ate that egg, for example, that you can't tolerate, or that dairy that you can't tolerate, and all of a sudden you're getting these breakouts on your chin.
Yep.
What's inside those breakouts? That white pus, right? Guess what white pus is? It's white blood cells. It's white blood cells that came out your body's trying to eliminate something, and it's coming out through the skin because your body tried to encapsulate that. The immune system tried to turn that up.
Think about all the kids with acne, right? If they were just on a proper human diet, which is meat based, right? Where we are obligate carnivores, and people get really upset when you say that, but every other carnivore in nature, if you compare them to humans, we have all these things that are in common. We have nothing in common with omnivores. Our stomach pH, the way that our eyes are set in our head, our length of our intestinal tract, our ability to hunt and to think and to throw things, and we just don't have anything in common with omnivores or herbivores. And can we handle plant toxins and plants, and can we survive on them? Absolutely. I think they were survival foods. It might have gotten us through, but we will get sick if we do not get the proteins and the things that we need to survive. Right?
Yeah, completely. So when we're talking about, again, that immune response that people are going to be having whenever there's that food particle that's making its way in, you end up starting to get the more autoimmune aspect of this when this response continues for many, many years or indefinitely or in the presence of other stressors. So there are other things that can compound this, and it can set one person into an autoimmune disorder, and it can set another person with just really, really bad skin stuff. But ultimately, the first place that needs to be looked at is what is your gut health. So enter the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet is really cool, not only because it's our species appropriate diet and we are obligate carnivores, like he said, and we are meant to eat this way, but it actually works as a really excellent elimination diet. And you go to any good naturopathic doctor and you start to work on gut issues, they might run a food intolerance test, or they might make you do an elimination diet, one of the two. But in order to correct that level of a disease state, you absolutely have to eliminate the things. Here's
salad is the first thing I take out.
Yeah, and this I've said this before, it sounds really harsh, but I'm going to keep repeating it. If you ate your way into a disease, you have to eat your way out. And if you have a disease process that you ate your way into, you have lost the privilege of eating whatever it is that you want. I say that with love, but it is 100% true. Your food can either be your medicine or your poison, and this is really just an opportunity for you to take the reins and make that change and be able to resolve this on your own, because not only, again, is this diet and way of living delicious and nutritious and the best thing for you, but think of how much time, effort, money, resources you're going to save simply by changing this in order to heal your body. It really
works.
is like,
and that doesn't mean that I don't think that there are certain cases for plants, specifically in the sense of medicine, or I think there are some use cases for that. I mean, I'm not going to say that you should never put anything in your mouth that's not meat, and you may be able to do that and get away with it, but there's also a case for and it depends on the person.
Yeah, and I think that's an important distinction to make. I think that when a body is in a completely healthy state, you can probably get away with eating just about anything, right? When your body has entered a disease state, you really do need to be removing all of the things that could potentially be bothering it. And then you can do a reintroduction, right? So maybe you do, maybe you do carnivore for 90 days. You really clean things out. You really get into that healing and repair state, because it does take 12 weeks for your body to go through a healing cycle at minimum. Okay? So again, it can take longer. Doesn't mean you won't notice anything sooner, but that healing cycle is going to take 90 days. If after you complete that and you feel really great and you want to test adding things back into your diet, go for it, right? There's no carnivore police. You're not going to get thrown in carnivore jail. Yeah. Nobody's going to chastise you.
Well, you also can look at you can look at them like we talk about the spectrum of toxicity. So the least toxic plant foods are going to be fruit, followed by the vegetables, which are like the green leafy stuff, or broccoli or asparagus and things like that. So after that, the most toxic parts of the plants are going to be the seeds and the nuts. So if you slowly start if you want to introduce them, you start with the fruit, and then in general, I think you should stay away from seeds and nuts. That includes mustard. Anything that's a seed or a nut or a plant's baby. It's obvious they don't want you to eat their babies. Fruit has seeds in it. They don't want you to eat the fruit and chew up the fruits. That's why a lot of fruit seeds are actually toxic. I don't know if you know. There's some fruit seeds.
Apple seeds, for example, have arsenic in them.
You don't want to chew up an apple seed and eat it. It has arsenic in it. Almonds have a ton of cyanide, and same with cashews and stuff like that. It's just you don't want to eat those things. So if you're going to choose to eat things from the plant kingdom, I think there's some evidence that shows that we can handle fruits pretty well in small amounts. But the reason this is an issue for people is because some people that were on a standard American diet were eating all this sugary crap. When they go and they try to eat fruit, all of a sudden the fruit's like, okay, well I should maybe have a half a banana, but instead they're eating 3 bananas, and then they follow it with some blueberries and then some strawberries, and then they put honey on it, and all of a sudden now they just had 2,000 calories of fruit in one sitting, and they're back to where they were before. Right?
Yeah, and that level of sugar can be damaging to the gut and the skin too, just because it's also a lot for the body to process. The other aspect of the digestive system, and even just your body's processing system, that can cause things to get backed up and show up on the skin is actually your liver too. So drinking a lot will actually contribute to excessive or intensive skin disruptions as well. So alcohol, of course, has to go. I mean, alcohol really doesn't have a place in the carnivore diet. So it's...
Yeah, everybody. There's been times where I've drank before and woke up and my skin just didn't look that good, right? It's just like it's almost an instant instant thing. So I mean, alcohol is not going to help your skin for sure. And then
it ages you really, really fast.
And then the oils that come in, in plants, if you're sensitive to the sun, are also going to be very detrimental to your skin if you go out in the sun. I mean, seed oils, we know for a fact, seed oils will make you burn like nobody's business.
Yeah. We actually noticed this just in our daughter. She's almost 5, and she's got incredibly fair skin, light blonde hair, blue eyes. Like, she's as fair as they come.
She can go out in the sun all day.
She can play in the sun all day long.
But we don't have any seed oils in this house.
Without any sunscreen on. We do not feed her. We do not feed her any seed oils. And it's just a really great case study in what a diet can do for sun protection. So
it's a little funny story. We had some friends over, and a friend of hers brought her son over, who's a little bit older than Zoe. And immediately the mom's like, and this kid's like really white. Immediately mom's like, "Oh, you got to put sunscreen on before you go outside." And Zoe goes, "Oh, well, I don't need sunscreen. He can have sunscreen, but I don't need sunscreen." And the mom's like, "What do you mean you don't need sunscreen?" I said, "Yeah, Zoe can go outside in the Arizona sun all day long and play, and never in the pool and never get burned
from water.
And I go out in the sun every day, and I mean it's amazing. And that's just another proof and evidence that we don't need to be eating plant foods because of what they do to us.
And this is just a part of the bigger conversation. It's not just sun exposure. It's that if you are eating these seed oils, you have actually made improper cell membranes in your skin, and those are going to dysfunct to some degree, right? It doesn't matter how you spin it. Those could push you more so in the direction of developing autoimmune disorder. So again, the seed oils, number one thing, have to go. I mean, listen, even if you don't go full carnivore, I have said this before a million times, even if you don't go full carnivore, at least cut out the gosh darn seed oils, and you will make strides in your health like you've never seen before as your body starts to rebuild. This does take time, okay? I did hear the statistic one time that in order to fully get all the stuff out of your body takes 7 years, but that's probably more of the statistic of that's roughly how long all your cells in your body take to replace each other, which same.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, it's funny that Zoe said something like that, but that kind of like hit across the head. I mean, that first of all, I would let my kid go out into the sun, just to get some vitamin D. First of all, so if you're initially just like going to put sunscreen on or put a bandage on, some sort of bump you got, you have to look beneath that and say what's really going on. And I think human beings we tend to be lazy, and we want to just like have a quick fix. And I love the carnivore diet because, to me, eating something bad would literally mean, eating broccoli, right? And a normal person, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm just going to go out and have these French fries." Like, to me, eating French fries
aren't even food in my eyes.
Well, yeah, but it's they're all French fries are made with these super neurotoxic seed oils. So to me, that would be like holy shit. Like that would never even consider making a bad choice like that. I would just that would feel like it would be painful to me. So I love it because it's put me in a position to where now my standard for myself is so much higher. Like even cheating would be like eating carrots or something, right?
We were last year we were planning to move, and that's a whole other story for a whole other day. We didn't. And
we did move.
Well, that's a whole.
We own a house in Texas. So.
We won't even get into that story today. That's just a whole other story for another time. But I originally was like, oh, this place that we were going to go to doesn't have any restaurants that I would consider eating at.
Yeah, she said that to me, and I was like, hey, we don't even go to restaurants.
But wait, now this evolution that I've had over the last year or so is that I don't even need to consider that because I'm not going to go eat at a restaurant because they're all bad.
Yeah. There's like a steakhouse is about all I can do because I know.
And then but at the steakhouse you're likely still giving the grain fed thing
seafood
seafood sashimi. But even then,
it's still really hard. You gotta
it's like, is the price
ask questions
worth it? Like,
not really.
Exactly. So it's like I wouldn't make
like
that choice.
You go to dinner. We go to a steakhouse dinner. Like the other night, we spent it was like $600, right?
But I ordered caviar for the first time, and I didn't realize how much the thing caviar is.
But so like we could have taken that $600 and bought a bunch of Wagyu steaks that would have lasted us a month. But it's the experience. We get that, but. So we try not to go out. We're not gonna, we just looked at each other and said, well, that was a great experience. Like we had a great time and we got to try something new. But like, I'd rather go to Whole Foods and buy that same caviar for $80 instead of $200. But it was really good.
Yeah,
Though.
it was
So-
pretty good, and yeah, they don't tell you until you get the bill. It was like, okay. Anyway, skin stuff.
So yeah, but back to the skin issues.
I
That's
do want to throw in another thing on here. Women, I said earlier that we don't treat skin stuff by putting stuff on our skin, but you have to actually be really, really cognizant about what you do put on your skin. So non-toxic cleansers, lotions, toners, makeup, whatever it is, like you.
I have a trick. Okay, if you have something you want to put on your skin, go ahead and put a little bit of that in your mouth. And if your reaction is pleasant and it's like, oh, this isn't too bad, this tastes like something I should be eating, then maybe you can put it on your skin. But if you wouldn't put it in your mouth and you wouldn't eat it and say, wow, this is good for a human, then you shouldn't put it on your skin.
This goes for your deodorant, for your body lotion.
Our deodorant's made of our deodorant's edible. It's made with like
literally
sugar
is.
and coconut oil and some other stuff.
It smells like a cupcake. It's
Yeah,
so good.
so it is edible.
But that's the other aspect, is that you do have to still remove the shit that you're piling into your pores, because your skin eats what you put on it. It is an organ of absorption. This is why we can deliver medications transdermally.
Yeah, like
Right, because it goes into circulation.
There's testosterone creams and
Hello,
estrogen
yes.
creams. And
I
all
mean,
that.
my gosh, if you really haven't put that together, I just invite you to take this like same sort of logical approach to like literally everything else, right? Put 2 and 2 together. If we can absorb things through our skin into our body, serves to say that the crap we put on our body will be absorbed into our body. There isn't an exception.
Yep.
Yeah.
Face creams, all kinds of stuff. Just don't mess
Yeah,
with that stuff.
makeup, the whole nine. Like, ladies, you are potentially being exposed to literally hundreds of chemicals every single morning before you even have coffee.
Yeah,
You
and
gotta do better.
they're making money off of you doing it too.
Oh, of course, because
More than men.
100%. And here's the other part of that equation is that once you decide to actually get on this healing train and heal the skin and the gut issues, your need for all those products will lessen dramatically, like significantly. Your skin tone will be more even, your wrinkles will lessen, there certainly won't really be any breakouts. I mean, your eyes will be brighter, your lashes will grow longer, like all of the
Vaginal
things.
lubrication is much better.
Sure,
Yeah.
that too. But all the things that you're actively working towards, modifying your appearance like that, all the like potions that you put in your hair to make it grow longer, no, the carnivore diet will do that for you, so that you can actually have that effortless.
But for real though, the carnivore diet enhances like every aspect of like being human, and so like everything you could think of, it has some sort of benefit to it, whether it's mental or physical.
Yeah.
You know, like every part of your life is kind of improved, and it's all to do because you took responsibility and accountability for your health.
Agreed.
That's it.
All right.
So
I think
cool.
we can leave it at that. If you have questions on skin stuff, just try the carnivore and see where it lands you after 90 days.
Yep. Go
Honestly.
to our group, Carnivore, Harder, Happier, Healthier on Facebook.
We put that link below so you can
ask questions.
join us there and take before and after pictures so you can really see that glow up.
Yeah. Cool. We'll talk to you guys another time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.